Okay, so we are on Tuesday of week 3. The Tuesday question says, which two continents are not in the Northern Hemisphere? Not is underlined because if we miss that word, we'll get it completely wrong. The first question we need to ask ourselves is, what is a continent? A continent is a large piece of land, often completely by itself, sometimes hooked to another large piece of land. It can be hooked by a bigger piece of land, or it can be hooked by a tiny little piece of land. Now, I made a list of all of the continents, but let's find them first. So here's a large piece of land that's called Antarctica. Here's a large piece of land that's called Australia. Here is a large piece of land, but only a tiny little bit of it is here. That's called Africa. Africa is actually a great big piece of land. It's over here. We have a tiny little piece of South America. Again, that's a great big piece of land, but only a tiny little bit of it is here in the Southern Hemisphere. We also have North America, that's Canada and the United States and Mexico and some Central American countries. We have Asia, which is a very huge piece of land here. We have Europe, which is a smaller piece of land right here. And you can see those on different places. This is from the North Pole. This is from the South Pole. This is called the Western Hemisphere. This is called the Eastern Hemisphere. So we have 7 different continents. They are Antarctica, Australia, Africa, Asia, North America, South America, and Europe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the question says, which 2 continents are not in the Northern Hemisphere? So I had to go over here and I had to say, okay, North America is in the Northern Hemisphere, because it says Northern Hemisphere right here. And Asia is in the Northern Hemisphere. And Europe is in the Northern Hemisphere. Part of Africa is in the Northern Hemisphere. And a tiny little piece of South America is in the Northern Hemisphere. So that leaves me to Australia and Antarctica that are not in the Northern Hemisphere. So I go back over here. Remember, I'm borrowing from my question. I say the 2 continents not in the Northern Hemisphere. Again, that's right from my question. The 2 continents not in the Northern Hemisphere are Antarctica and Australia. So I borrow from my question and then I put my answer in. Question number 2. Which oceans are shown in the Northern Hemisphere? So I got to go back, find my Northern Hemisphere again. And I'm looking for the word ocean. I see ocean here, I see ocean here, and I see ocean here. So there are 3 different oceans in the Northern Hemisphere. Which oceans are shown in the Northern Hemisphere? So the oceans in the Northern Hemisphere. Again, that's just borrowing. The oceans in the Northern Hemisphere are the Atlantic Ocean, comma, the Arctic Ocean, comma, and the Pacific Ocean, period. So borrow from my question, then go find my answer and write it on the line.